No, turn me back up.
Turn me back up. I like being loud. Well, I like being loud, just not where it like shoots in my ear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well. Dun dun dun.
Oh
Dun
yeah, I'm
dun
good.
dun dun. Hold that tiger. Oh, good idea.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa. Why is this playing? I mean, I'm not complaining, but
It's like it just went from country to rap.
Ooh, wait, why is it tough?
It's Lil Yachty.
It is Lil Yachty.
yeah.
It is Lil Yachty. That's hype. That's really hype. Oh, I'm so ready to go now. Hey. All right, let's ride.
We should mention that on air. No, I'm
No,
joking.
I'm kidding.
I'm joking.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we
Shout
go.
out to Yachty for the hype
What?
song.
Are we on?
What do you mean?
Are the mics on?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
We wouldn't be able to hear each other if the mics
No,
weren't
but I
on.
mean like on air. Are the mics on?
No.
As soon as
Oh yeah, I'm tripping.
you're retarded. Yes.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right, here we go. Shh. Shh. Welcome into the KLSU Sports Tailgate Show live from Tiger Stadium, aka Death Valley in the capital city, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm your host, Michael Poggi, alongside my fellow KLSU sports reporter, William Gilreath, and Tiger TV's own Kai Hamilton. Guys, how we doing on this fine Friday morning?
I'm doing great. I don't know about y'all, but thank God it's Friday, man.
Oh
We
yeah.
got a big game tomorrow, and I'm ready to roll.
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's been a pretty good day today. We've got Fall Fest later today in the quad. SEC setting up for tomorrow. It's gonna be a great day.
Yeah, you know that you can definitely start to feel the energy here in Baton Rouge as SEC play is about to begin. So another week here in Death Valley as the number 3 ranked LSU Tigers will host the unranked Florida Gators tomorrow night at 6:30 to open up SEC play in a gold game, which LSU is doing for the first time since 2017. LSU is coming off a 23-7 victory against Louisiana Tech, while Florida is coming off a loss that they probably want back in an 18-16 loss at home against the University of South Florida last weekend. So we're going to start things off with the most dominant part of this LSU team, in a lot of people's opinion, in the defense, going up against a very electric offense, although struggled to put up enough points last week in the Florida Gators. LSU has proved time and time again over the course of these past 2 weeks that this defense is legit. Another test begins tomorrow night. So who is the one guy that really needs to be the guy tomorrow? Who's one person that needs to be that dude and step up? We will touch more up on key players later on.
Well, if you study how DJ Lagway plays, you'll see that he's an improv player. Yes, they have plays, but he makes up the game as he goes. How he can extend plays and how he can be lethal outside of the pocket. And I think the guy who can beat him tomorrow is really going to be Harold Perkins Jr. or Wes Weeks.
Right.
Like I said last year, they're the players who do the best in chaos, and that really sets the tone of the game.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Harold Perkins, throughout his LSU career, he's really done well as a quarterback spy or in that star role against these dual threat quarterbacks. But for me, the one guy that I'll have my eye on is Jack Pyburn. It's his old team. He's hungry. Off the edge, he's ready for a breakout game.
I really like that pick, and that's kind of where I'm going towards more of a Bernard Gooden.
Mm-hmm.
I think tomorrow night is a very big step for Bernard Gooden. I think that he was able to get a couple good pressures in the game against Clemson, and how Pyburn plays. Pyburn's a very good run stopper, and he gets to the quarterback just enough to really make the quarterback think. But if Gooden's able to actually get there, use his key pass rushing attributes that he, owns, it will be perfect for the LSU defense, and I really do think Gooden has an opportunity to blow this game open for the defense.
Right, 100%.
He's so powerful up in the
Right,
interior defensive
exactly.
line that
Yes.
you just love having him there.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. So Florida's quarterback, DJ Lagway, is an interesting player where he can beat you with his arm, but against a team like LSU, where you have seen in the past, he will use his legs. Lagway was a guy who was honestly the main reason Florida won the game last year in Gainesville against the Tigers. He last week he threw 23 for 33 on 222 yards for 1 touchdown and interception. What does DJ Lagway need to do to get after this LSU defense right away and really just make them work?
If Lagway wants to make them work, he has to be decisive. That means pulling it on zone reads, escaping pressure, and hitting those intermediate throws when the Tigers drop into zone. He can't just use his arms. He has to use his brain and his legs.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is how do they attack the middle of the field? We know LSU's corners have been really strong this year. We know their safeties have been a strong suit that we haven't seen in years past, but no one's been able to find the weakness there.
Right. Yes.
There's going to be a play in this game for DJ, or an opportunity in this game for DJ Lagway to break the game open or to gain some momentum and to get the offense rolling. Where's that going to come? When's that going to come? I think it's over the middle of the field. I think it's in between the linebackers and the safety. If he can find a pocket, find a guy like Eugene Wilson or Vernell Brown there, that's where Florida can have some success.
And you're really right. And I touched up on how he can beat you with his arm. He has a cannon, and he can, methodically get through the defense. But the problem with this kind of defense that LSU has is maybe Lagway does blow it up with his legs.
Right.
He only had 7 yards of rushing last week, but I think in this game where LSU in years past has struggled with defending the run, he might try and use something a little else. Look, Florida lost last week. They're playing, like their season's on the line. They've got a coach on the hot seat. This is one of them. They are going to pull everything out of the bag and anything they can to try and beat this team. So I genuinely think that you are going to see a lot more trickery from this Florida offense, and you are going to see DJ Lagway, like you said, try and blow this game up as quick as he can. I think the offense is going to be fast-paced. I think you're just going to see them try and throw the defense off in any possible way that they can.
Similar to what Clemson did with Cade Klubnik.
Right. Yes. So, getting to the Clemson, one thing LSU did against Clemson that they weren't able to do against LA Tech was force a turnover. In a game like this, where Florida is coming off almost an embarrassing loss to USF last week, they need to make a big play on the defensive end. Florida is hungry. Florida, like I just said, they're playing with their season on the line, coach on the hot seat. They have to make something happen. So from a defensive standpoint for LSU, they need to make a play. They need to go out there and make a play early. So my question is, do we see a turnover tomorrow from this LSU defense, and who do we see?
Well, the lack of turnovers last week was not because lack of opportunity. We could look over our shoulders right now, and I can see where Ashton Stamps dropped that interception the play before the touchdown. Look, this LSU defense, they're aggressive. They're going to want to make that play. They're going to want to get that stop, but they have to stay composed, especially when you play a quarterback like DJ Lagway. I really do believe LSU can force some turnovers in this game, and I think that'll be the difference maker. A particular guy that I think could maybe get that interception or get that fumble recovery is A.J. Halsey. He's aggressive. He's strong. He's good in coverage. He can tackle well. He can hit well. And I think if someone's going to force a fumble or pick a overthrown ball from Lagway, he's the guy I got my eye on.
You're right, and it's really LSU just needs that defensive spark because they have guys like Halsey, they have guys like Mansour Delane, Javian Toviano, DeMarcus Cooley, who, when you put them in the game, they just have to be in the right mindset, and they have to keep the pressure going to keep that ball rolling.
And playmakers all over the field. You look around, you turn around, there's playmaker in the safety, in the DB room, in the linebackers, playmakers all over the field. The biggest part about this defense that you haven't seen is, yes, there's playmakers on the field, but there's playmakers on the bench. And that is something that LSU is going to use to their advantage tomorrow night. And I think P.J. Woodland gets an interception, gets a fumble, gets something. He is going to be the guy that gets the turnover. And the reason being is because it's going to have that electric LSU in a game like this. LSU needs that. LSU needs somebody to come off the bench, make a play in their time that they're there. PJ has been phenomenal his last 2 weeks. In the role that he's been playing, he's been phenomenal. And I genuinely think we're going to see more of why P.J. Woodland is one of the better players on this defensive front.
And real quick, another thing that turnovers do that we didn't talk about was it gets the crowd going. It's going to be an amazing atmosphere tomorrow here in Death Valley. It's the Gold game. They have those wristbands on.
Yes.
But the crowd needs something to get them going, and especially when the offense has been kind of stagnant like it has been, you need the defense to make that play to keep them in the game.
Yes, you do. And kind of, transitioning over for key events, key moments, what's crucial for this Florida offense? This Florida team, there's keys to this offense for Florida really to get into LSU's space, LSU's head. What does Florida need to do? Give me your keys to the game for this offense for Florida, and kind of give me one or two guys that you really think can blow this game open. Obviously, there's the DJ Lagways, but kind of give me somebody else if you can.
I mean, you have guys like Jacoby Jackson, and he provides depth in that big personality, in that big potential. Having him alongside guys like Jaden Bow gives Florida more flexibility. And then you also have Vernell Brown III, and he's one of the more watched players because he's already shown flashes. He knows the game, and Florida will really need to have him to produce big plays and passing in the game.
Yes.
Florida's offense has a lot of talent. It's about execution and consistency. If they can avoid penalties, win first down, and protect Lagway, they'll give LSU's defense a real test.
A real test, yes.
And I like how you brought up a guy like Jaden Bow because the run game's crucial for Florida. Clemson kind of got something going, but when you have a dual-threat guy like DJ Lagway, it forces you to kind of second think.
Right.
If they're going to run it, who's going to get it?
Right.
And that's where I think Jaden Bow can take advantage. He is their leading rusher. Last week he didn't have the greatest game, but if Florida's going to want to have success tomorrow, they need to get the run game going. They're averaging, I want to say, 5.2 yards per carry or something around there. LSU has only given up around 3 yards per carry in the first two games combined. So that's kind of where I'm watching Florida. If they can get a run game going early and often, I really think they can have some success there.
I'm glad you took the words right out of me because, that is really what Florida needs to do. That run game is going to be crucial tomorrow for the Gators. And, that's something that we saw from LSU the last couple of years is the reason their offense has kind of been struggled last year. The reason the offense struggled last year was because you weren't able to get that run game going. You weren't able to have that dual side effect of where you could throw the ball to your key, studs out wide, but then you can also hand the ball off. You can also make that defense think. And Florida needs to do that tomorrow night. In a game where you're going to have 100,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs, ready to beat this Florida team, and you're a 1-1 unranked school coming into the number 3 place in the country.
Right. And if Bow stays like the true workhorse he really is, their offense will be so balanced and so good.
Exactly. And then that's where we transition. That defensive front for LSU has to be on point tomorrow. So what are the keys to the defense for LSU? And give me one or two key players.
So my key player, and I think he's really underrated, is Devon Keys.
Yes.
I mean, we did not see him in the Clemson game, but of course, Brian Kelly running his veteran players, that's normal.
But we saw him against Baylor in that bowl game when he was able to get the pick six to really get things rolling.
And even in the game versus LA Tech.
Yes.
I mean, he had a total of 8 assists and 3 solo tackles. That's 11 tackles all across the board. He's really good. And he shows good range and involvement. He could be in the position to make a really big play or the turnovers for the game.
I agree.
And going back to your point, Poji, that's a guy that's sitting on the bench. He's not on the field every play, and yet he still has that in him. He has those pick sixes. He has that talent. To me, the biggest thing for LSU is they have to dominate the edge here. That's why I like a guy like Patrick Payton, who if you look at the tape, if you look at on stats, he might not be having the greatest season, but watch the tape. Watch how quickly he can get in the backfield. Watch how disruptive he can be. Him and Pyburn, they're going to be the guys, in my opinion. Look, Pyburn played at Florida. Patrick Payton played at Florida State. They both are going to have a lot of hate towards the Gators offense. Tomorrow, they're going to want to make that play and they're going to want to make it early.
And you make a really good point just about, the defensive unit. You really make that defensive line has to be there. Mm-hmm. They have to be ready to roll, and they have to stop that run game immediately. And you watch the tape, because they've all been, the stats might not be there. They might not be getting all the sacks. They might not be getting all the, quarterback hurries and all that stuff. But they're getting there. They're making that offense work. They're making the offense crumble together. They're limiting that. They're shortening that window for the quarterback, and it's making everybody's job harder on that other side of the field. So, yeah, I really do think that just that defensive side needs to be on point. They need to be ready to roll. And I'd say one guy for me, you kind of took Patrick Payton. I'm going to, I think Whit Weeks has to be, like, yes, he's one of your best. Like, I get it, but he has to be there. Like, he has
Absolutely.
to be on point tomorrow. And I think that linebacker core with him, West, and Perk, just the middle of the field needs to be theirs. They need, if anybody is going out wide, they're there. If anybody's, coming across the middle, they're there. They need to be all over the place, and that's what they've been doing the last 2 weeks. I don't see anything changing tomorrow night, but it's something that has to happen in order for the Tigers to be successful.
And you're right, because they're really that core part of the defense.
Right.
And going back to what you said about Peyton, I mean, it literally says he's a big-time defensive transfer that has immediately made an impact.
Yes.
Coming straight into the game, we already know what he's prepared for, and he just has to be present tomorrow night.
So, LSU, we're going to move towards the offense versus the defense, as the LSU offense is coming off a game they would kind of like to forget. Even though they got the victory against Louisiana Tech, Tigers only scored 23 points with a pretty decent 365 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing, and 3 field goals. LSU will need to look sharper, obviously, tomorrow night. What is one thing you saw last week from this offense that needs a little bit of tweaking, come 6:30 tomorrow night?
Well, for me, similar to Florida, it starts with the run game. Last year, LSU's run game was not effective at all. Later in the season, it started to get a little bit better once Caden Durham got more reps. First 2 games this season, they weren't bad against Clemson, but last week, they definitely want to forget that aspect of the game. Braylon Moore's injury didn't help them, but it's still not necessarily an excuse for why it was so counterproductive, or unproductive, I should say. I think Caden Durham and Harlem Berry are big for LSU.
Yes.
And I say both of them because Harlem Berry came on in that second half, and he really showed himself. And BK talked about it in his presser, and he talked about it through the week. They're going to have to consider giving him more reps.
Right,
and that's
yes.
not anything against Caden Durham, because we know how good Caden Durham can be too. But it's a compliment to Harlem Berry. And when you can have a 1-2 punch at running back, I think back to the Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis days. That was a run game that was unstoppable in the SEC. If LSU can even get something remotely close to that, it'll be a very hard thing for Florida to defend.
Like if you have a 1-2 punch in any scenario, it's going to be hard for the defense. And I would say that the biggest thing that LSU's offense really needs to do is kind of what you say, is just open everything up. We don't know if Trey'Dez Green is going to play. Obviously, Braylon Moore is good to go according to Brian Kelly. But they need to spread things out. It's gonna. Yes, the run game needs to be there. Like I said, you can't have one and one works and the other doesn't work.
Right.
That's not. You're not going to be a successful football team. You need both to kind of work in some way, shape, or form. So for LSU, I'd say that the offense really just, spread it out. Get Nick Anderson touches. Get Aaron Anderson touches. Get it to your guys. Get it to Xavion. I love when they use Xavion in the run package. Open things up. Make Florida think. I think he had 7 carries for like 60-something yards, and that's all you need out of a guy like Xavion, who's played wide receiver. We asked him in player interviews. We said, what's it kind of like to be in that running back room? And it's nothing to him. He's done this before. He's played football all his life. A little switch of position means nothing. They're just going out there and make the play. Coach makes the call, they go make the play, and that's what this LSU offense needs. And so, I don't know. I just think that this offense, if they open things up, if they spread the love a little bit, they will be successful.
I mean, I really think it's about finishing, though. And going back to what you said about BK's presser, he said that he did not live up to their expectation in the LA Tech game.
Right.
And I agree 100% to that. It's all about finishing, and that means crispier executions in shorter yardage, better play calling inside the 20, and really just leaning on the run game or quick passing even concepts to continue that momentum.
And to your point, LSU's red zone offense hasn't been effective. It wasn't last year. It hasn't been that great this year. They've had to settle for field goals. They've had to settle for those 3 points when you might want 6 there. And I think someone that can kind of – losing Trey Green doesn't help them. But that's where Nick Anderson can get more involved because he's a lengthy tight end.
Yes.
He's a guy very similar to C.J. Daniels last year.
Yes.
And they didn't use C.J. Daniels enough last year.
Exactly.
So now's your opportunity to use a guy like Nick Anderson in a big game tomorrow.
And he is going to be the mismatch.
Yes.
He is a mismatch anytime you put him on the field. When you have a guy like Trey Green, that's a mismatch. And if you have somebody like that, you're going to use him. But they have other guys. They can go to other people. It's not going to be the end of the world if Trey Green does not play tomorrow. Although Garrett Nussmeier is coming off a game that he would like back. He said in player interviews himself that he would love to get that game back, but it's not. He can, and all he can do is get in to the next week and focus on this week and get ready for the Florida Gators. Nuss needs to be sharp tomorrow night. What are the keys for Nuss's success? What does he need to do, and how's he going to do it?
I mean, he has to diagnose fast and get the ball out way quicker than he did against LA Tech.
Good
No time for second
decision-making,
guessing. Exactly. Good decision making and trusting the first read and let the playmakers work. I mean, last week LSU left yards on the table by ignoring the short game.
Yes.
And in a big game like tomorrow, you cannot do that because that's going to be the determination
100%.
of winning or losing the game. And when you have running backs like Caleb Jackson and tight ends like Bauer Sharp, Nuss needs to hit the safety valves when the deep shots are not there.
I agree. Yeah. I would just you gotta have you gotta let things come to you. I think for Nuss, he has to get the ball out quick though. He, like you said, it's got to be – he can't second guess. I think last year he kind of, when turnovers came, and if he does throw a turnover tomorrow or if he does make something happen, I don't want him to get complacent. I want him to keep that aggressive, mindset that he has as a quarterback, because when you have a guy who can make throws the way he can, whether that's a deep ball or a bullet right to Aaron Anderson's chest, he makes those plays. He's the guy out there, and there's nobody else that wears purple and gold that can make those throws right now. So I think for him, he just, smart decision-making, being quick off the ball, and if you make a mistake, don't let it change how you're playing the game.
And that's what he does. And Florida thrives on turnovers.
Yes.
So ball security is not an option.
Right.
You have to be firm with the ball and make sure you're getting the ball where it needs to go.
I agree.
And for me, it's as simple as taking what the defense gives him. He's been around football his entire life. He's a coach's son. Those pre-snap adjustments, those pre-snap reads, he's going to have to identify them. Where's my mismatch at? Where's my guy in one-on-one coverage? LSU's offense, they're very athletic. He's got a lot of options. He has weapons. And one thing that I don't think he's hit the check down a lot this year, but I think he's hit the wrong guy.
Yes.
He's gotten very complacent, like you guys mentioned, and especially last week, he throws that interception. He underthrows Barry and Brown there. It was kind of a freak play, but still he underthrew him. He'd want that play back, and he never really looked comfortable.
Right.
Early,
no, he never did. He never did. Yeah.
And so far this season, we talked about this on the Sunday show, he hasn't looked like the same Nuss as last year.
Right.
I wonder if maybe they took a little bit of that dangerous – I know they were trying to take that dangerous decision-making out of his game, but did they take too much of it out? Because now he just looks scared to take those shots.
And it happens after turnovers.
Right.
And I think I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if it's upstairs. I don't know what's going on. But anytime that he makes a mistake, you can actually see the difference between the way he's playing the football game, and you can't do that against a team like Florida tomorrow night.
And if he can just hit Harlem Berry or Caden Durham, I mean, Caden Durham is an elite receiving back. For as good of a runner as he is, he can catch the ball. Do you guys remember the South Alabama game last year where on literally the first play he took it to the house on that screen?
Right.
If they can just get that back, we talked about how the defense got their swagger back. The offense needs it back now. Nuss needs it back now. Tomorrow more than ever.
And I think they'll be ready. But let's talk about that really quickly. Give me, the keys to the Florida defense, and give me one or two key guys for this defensive unit.
Look, it's an easy answer, but Caleb Banks is going to be crucial for Florida tomorrow.
He hasn't played in 2 weeks. This is his first game yet.
Because of how uncomfortable Nuss might look, if they can get pressure on him, especially up the middle, like Braylon Moore's injury is not going to help LSU's offensive line. He may be starting, but he's not going to be 100%.
Right.
So Florida's going to try to take advantage of that, and LSU needs to stay strong there. Caleb Banks is hungry.
Yep.
When you sit on the sideline and you watch your team play for 2 weeks, especially when you lose one of those games, you're ready to get out there. He might not be 100%, but he is hungry. And the last thing you want is a player as talented as him to be playing mad.
And Brian Kelly has already flagged Lagway as their danger man. So he has to surprise them with his legs. First drive, RPO. Second drive, maybe a QB draw. Third drive, bootleg shot up. Make LSU chase shadows. LSU's defense literally thrives when it comes to controlling the pace. Florida must hurry after first downs, especially if LSU's base shows coverage. Keep subs limited and force mismatches. LSU's run game has been pretty underwhelming, but Florida's D-line has to dominate first down and second and long, where blitzes become more effective.
Yeah, no, I think, where you say change the pace of play, I think that's the realest thing that we've heard. Because they genuinely, LSU's defense, when they are controlling the way the offense is moving, that's their bread and butter. They love every second of it. So what Florida needs to do in an environment like this is they just need to change everything up. They need to make the defense go on their toes. They need to, a little hurry up, then slow it down. Like, whatever you got to do to switch things up, I think that's the most important thing. Moving to the offense for LSU, what are the keys to the offense? And give me one or two key guys that really need to be there to make an impact on this game.
I think it's really about protecting Nuss at all costs. I mean, Florida's edge runners, they will come in hungry.
Yes.
And and LSU's O-line must hold firm and give Nuss clean pockets. I mean, he's lethal when he has time, especially on deep crosses and seam shots. Florida's linebackers bite hard on play action. LSU should exploit that with quick outs, bubble screens, and RB swing passes to stretch the defense horizontal before going vertical.
Yeah, I agree.
To me, it's all about, again, opening up that playbook for LSU. They need to trust Nussmeier. They need to trust in their athletic, speedy, tall wide receivers. They got to get Barry and Brown going early. They got to get Aaron Anderson going early.
Yes.
Hit him over the middle. Like you mentioned, hit him on a wide receiver screen. These are fast. They are fast guys. They can break a tackle, and in a blink of an eye, they're gone. So you don't need to take a 40-yard deep vert or whatever. You just need to get the ball out and to your playmakers.
I agree. And, for me, I'd say that the keys to the offense are pretty simple. Like you said, get the ball to your playmakers. Get the ball to the guys that make you the money. Let the run game work. You got to have the run. If the run game's not working, it's going to be a long night in Death Valley, and that's for both teams. The run game needs to be working. And I'd say, one other thing is, switch things up. I love how they've put, like I said, I love how they've put Xavier in the run game. I like when they give Juwan Johnson the ball. I think it's just, adding that aspect to this LSU offense creates a different dynamic. And that's what this offense needs. That's what it needs tomorrow night. That's what it needs in the future. And that's what it's had. And I just think that the key is stick to your game, stick to what you know, and you will be fine. 1 to 2 key guys for me is, I'll do one simple one and one a little different. Nussmeier has to be the guy. Nussmeier has to be almost perfect tomorrow, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has to show you why he is a Heisman candidate, why he is favored to win the Heisman Trophy. He needs to show you, he needs to show us tomorrow night here in Death Valley. And then one other guy, that offensive line, man, Braylon Moore, Thompson, they got to be there. They got to be, the offensive line, it's been really good these last couple weeks. It needs to stay good. And honestly, the Clemson defensive front, really good. This is right there with it. This Florida defensive line is very, very good and is going to give you problems. All right, let's make some game day picks, man. Let's make some picks. We're going to start things off with number 18, USF. Traveling to number 5, Miami. Obviously, South Florida coming off the big win against the Gators. Who wins this one?
Yeah, I've got Miami for this one. But
really? I have the upset here. I think USF's the group of 5 playoff team. They're inspired right now. I think they can go on the road and get it done.
They're a very good team. Good quarterback. love the way they move the ball, love the way they run the ball. Miami gets it done. The experience, the quarterback, the coaching, I think Miami just has it. Another big game, number 16, Texas A&M goes to South Bend. Number 8, Notre Dame. Who wins?
Neither team, I think, has reached their peak yet, and that makes sense. It's week 2, but I got Notre Dame at home. I just don't think A&M has enough to get it done on the road.
Yeah, I'm going with Notre Dame on this one because I believe C.J. Carr can run down Texas.
And I'm taking the Aggies.
Wow.
So I think that is the team that's the one that we're going to see. It's an upset. The offense is going to be moving. And I think defensively, that's where they really just need to be sharp. If they're sharp defensively, they will be fine. All right, we're going to move to another big one. Number 6, Georgia at number 15, Tennessee. Quickly, who wins?
I'm from Georgia, so I'm going to go with Georgia.
Yeah, I got to do it for my grandfather. Go Dogs tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? I'll go Dogs as well. I just think the experience, the coaching, it's Tennessee. This is the best chance Tennessee has had. But I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart is 8-0 against the Vols.
That sounds right.
And so I just think he makes it 9-0 tomorrow. So now to the big one. Number 3, LSU takes on rival unranked Florida tomorrow night in Death Valley at 6:30. Who wins?
I think it's going to be a close game, but I do have faith in LSU.
Yeah, I think LSU has to come out early. I think they have to play smart. They can't put their head down. They can't overlook Florida just because they lost last week. I got LSU 28-13. I think the defense is just too good.
Yeah, I think this crowd's going to be everywhere. I think the energy just with how much is, everything that's going on in this city, everything that's happening, it feels like this football team is back. It feels like the LSU Tigers that everybody grew up watching, knowing and loving, the defense, the electric atmosphere, having the fans behind you and not against you, it's back. And I just think that LSU is the better football team. We're going to see it tomorrow night. I think LSU, I think they could win this game by 3 scores. I think they could win it by 21 points. I do think they win by 14. I'm going to go 28-14. I think they cover as well. But that will do it for us today. I just want to thank the entire LSU communication staff for allowing us to do this in Tiger Stadium, especially Michael Bonnet and Kent Lowe. Big thanks to our advisor, Jimmy, as he has helped us, as always. Big props to him. And this has been another episode of the KLSU Tailgate Show. Thank you to Will and Kai for joining me. I'm Michael Poggi.